Well, I think there's always been great frustration in communities of color. We are still burdened with a presumption of guilt and dangerousness that we've never really addressed. And I just think there's a growing fatigue and a growing awareness that it's not going to change until we do some things proactively to confront this history, to confront this legacy. And I think what you saw in many of these communities was a reaction to this long-standing targeting of people of color, menacing of people of color, harassment of people of color by law enforcement, which represent one part of this larger story of our failure to confront the history of racial inequality in America.
Right. Implication of everything you've just said is that things for black people haven't really changed very much at all, and yet I would say to you, consider your own background, your own life, and surely you would have to acknowledge things have changed enormously from when you were a kid growing up in Delaware.
No, things have changed. I don't think anyone disputes that things have changed. That we have an African-American president is really kind of shocking still to many of us.
Well, not just that. I mean, the journey traveled in 50 years is extraordinary. You, as a child, grew up under segregation.
That's right. We have done some work to eliminate the legalized subordination of people of color. We've overcome much of that. We haven't overcome all of it. But you're right. I started my education in a colored school where black children couldn't go to the public schools. Now, our schools are just as segregated today as they were 50 years ago. And the kids today are facing threats that I didn't have to face. The rates of expulsion and suspension are actually higher for kids of color. We have kids of color going into schools where they're being menaced and targeted and arrested in ways that I wasn't. But I do think the face of racial segregation has changed. But the narrative of racial difference, this presumption of guilt and dangerousness, that I don't think has changed very much in 50 years.